Hi friends, Miss Kristen from Vega here, and I am so excited to teach you how to sew our noun family pillows, or little stuffed animals, whatever you want to call them. So as part of our remote learning bag, we have included a practical life work where we mix not only practical life, but also our grammar symbols. We have our 3 triangles that are part of our noun family. We have our noun, we have our article, and we have our adjective. You have probably gotten lessons on what these different triangles mean, so I'm not going to go into depth about what that is, but I just wanted to remind you what they were for. I'm going to show you how you can sew these and create a really fun 3D little pillow that you can keep at home or use to label things for your works or around your house. So let's go. In the kits that we provided for you at school, you have some different items. You have a piece of fabric that's holding a needle, some pins, and some thread that I threw across my floor. Some of you might have a different color thread, and that's okay. Whatever thread Miss Stacy packed you is whatever thread you have. If you want a different color and you happen to have some at home, you're welcome to use that as well. You also have in your kit 2 pieces of felt that are going to represent our article. They are light blue and the smallest. You have medium-sized darker blue for our adjective. And then we have the very big black triangle, 2 pieces to represent our noun. Some things that you're going to need to do this project that we did not include in your bag is a pair of sharp scissors. This is best done with a parent to help you or another adult, because using like little kid scissors that we use in the classroom, the safety scissors, don't really cut fabric very well. And you can also grab a marker, and you're going to need something to stuff your little pillows with. You can use all sorts of different things. An option, do you have any plastic bags lying around? Sometimes I forget to bring my reusable bag to the grocery store, but you could also use tissue. You could use cotton balls. You could use leftover fabric scraps that you might have. You could use the leftover fabric from what we're going to cut out. There's lots of different options for stuffing your pillow. The first step, I'm going to just show you how to make the medium-sized pillow today. You have the option to make all 3. You don't have to make all 3 this week. You can save this project for a later time if we have to do remote learning again in the school year. It does not have to be done this week. So your first step is you want to take your scissors, and Miss Stacy has already mapped out a triangle for you. And you want to cut your triangle out on the line. You can make a second triangle because we need 2 so we can sew them together. So you can place your triangle down like that, the one that you've already cut out, in the middle of your second piece of felt, and take a Sharpie or another marker and trace the outline like that of your triangle. You can trace all 3 sides and then use your scissors to cut out your triangle. I am all done cutting out both triangles. Now I have 2. And we're getting ready to sew. If you traced out your triangle with a Sharpie, you are going to need to now take your pins and pin your triangles together. That'll help keep the shape while you sew, so you don't end up like sewing your pieces all crazy. So as a reminder, you take your pin in one hand and you hold your fabric with the other, and you poke straight through both pieces, and then you kind of turn it. See how I'm putting my thumb here and almost pinching it with the fabric, and our pointy end is sticking out? And you can bend your piece of fabric over and poke your pin through. just like that. And you want to do that all 3 times. You want to make sure that you are securing all 3 sides. And you want to do it a little further down so that way you have room to stitch. If you put your pins too close to the edge, then you won't have anywhere to sew. Okay, so now that we've put our pins in, it's time to thread our needle. All right, as you can see, you have your little spool of thread, and I want to take the very end and I'm going to kind of unwind it a pretty good amount. Use your new measuring skills and use a ruler and measure out about 2 feet or 24 inches of thread. And then you want to cut, whoops, you want to cut to make sure you detach it from your spool. Then you find the end and you take your needle, thread your needle by putting the end of your thread through the eye, which is the opening at the top of the needle. And you poke it through. You can see it's on. Best thing to do is then pull your string and find the other end. And you want to take your 2 ends and match them together just like this, and tie a knot at the very end. And you're going to probably need to tie a knot a couple times to make sure it's thick enough so when you start sewing it doesn't pull through your felt. And again, this might be something that you would need to ask an adult to help you do. Okay, now that I have my knot, I'm going to kind of pull my string and make sure that my needle is on the opposite end from my knot. And I'm going to find a point. Doesn't matter what one of the 3 points that you choose, just pick one of them. And stick your needle through the back to make sure you're connecting both pieces of felt, and pull until it stops at your knot. There are 2 different types of stitches that you can do. Let me show you. The first stitch is one that we used kind of often when we were making our red cloth, where you went through and then fairly close to your exit point here, you want to make an entry point and poke it through both pieces of felt and pull. So you make a stitch like that. And then you want to flip it over so you can see, and you want to do the same thing. So this is where my thread came through, and now I want to pretty closely make another hole, flip it over, and pull your thread through. And you can keep doing this all the way down one side of your triangle. However, if you think that you're up for it, this is not the absolute best way that we could sew this. There is a different stitch that we could use, and I'm going to show you that one next. Oh, sometimes this happens where your string kind of gets caught. You just kind of want to gently pull it out where it got caught from, and then gently pull it through. Okay, so the second is called a whip stitch. So I might have taught at least some Vega friends. I don't know about the other classrooms if you learn this stitch. But imagine that I had taken my needle and I put it through the back, and this is where the knot is. And I want to sew around the edges. Okay, this will really make sure that whatever you stuff your triangle with stays inside your triangle. So instead of going in like this, I'm going to flip over my triangle and I'm going to poke through the back fairly close to the edge, just like that, and pull it through. So this time your string is going around the edge like that of your triangle. And now it's sticking back out the front, and we're going to do it again. We're going to flip it over and we're going to poke through the back and pull like that. Poke through the back, pull through the front, and you're going to keep doing this and create these stitches around the edges, and that will really help keep all that filling inside your pillow. Now this can get kind of tricky to do, and you might find yourself getting kind of frustrated if you haven't been sewing a lot in the classroom. So don't worry about taking a break and coming back to it, or having a family member help you. A way that you can take a break without cutting off your string is to stick your needle in the fabric and then turn it just like we did our pins and stick it out. And you can store your work just like this in your bag, so that way it stays nice and safe for you and it's ready for you the next time that you want to start sewing. Now you might find that you get to this edge here and it's, oh no, do I jump over? Do I go under? What do I do? So the best thing to do is to see, we're on this side, we're going to flip and take it right to kind of the point of this triangle, just like that. Then pull it through. And now you're kind of at the point and you're going to go on the back, but the opposite side that you've been working on. Oh, you want to make sure that you make it through both pieces of felt, and then you pull it through, just like that. And then you can keep doing your whip stitch, but the thing is, you don't want to go all the way around, and I will show you why in just a minute. So I started to sew some more off camera, and I got to about here where I have a couple inches of thread left, and I know it's not going to get me all the way to here. And so the best thing to do is to stop, and we're going to change out our thread so that way we have more to keep going. So how you're going to tie off your piece is by going towards the opposite of wherever you stop. So I stopped where my needle is coming through what is the top. I'm going to poke through the back, but instead of pulling it tight like this, I'm going to poke it through. Sorry if you can hear my cat's bell. And I'm going to kind of really slowly tuck my needle underneath the stitch that I was just making. Oh, now she's scratching, so I apologize. And pull. And now you've kind of gotten the thread stuck underneath this piece here, this stitch. And you want to kind of do that a couple times so you make a knot eventually. Now, there might be a better way to tie off your sewing, and if your family knows how to do that, that's absolutely great. You could also probably YouTube it, but this is the way that I was taught and the way I always do it. So I just kind of keep going around and kind of tie my piece of string underneath that other one. I'm going to do it one more time. Oops. Okay, so now I'm going to snip off my string that I just finished. And we're going to have to rethread our needle. So if you need to remember, you can go back and watch how I did that. I have threaded my needle again, and I am going to start where I left off. And something that I like to do to make sure that it is really nice and secure is I start my next stitch before my last one. So that way I stitch over it to make sure that I've really securely gotten that end nice and tight, so it doesn't come undone. So now I'm going to go all the way around. If you pull too hard, it starts to bunch up your felt, so you want to just be kind of gentle with it, but not too loose, otherwise it doesn't actually like hold anything together. So I turn my corner. I don't want to go all the way to the end because then I won't be able to stuff it. So what you want to do, there are two different things you can do here. One, you can take out your pins, put them somewhere you're going to be able to find them again. I like to keep them on the place I got them from. And you can stuff it just like this if you want to. So be very careful not to pull out your stitches. If I was using my cut off pieces, I could take a small amount, ball it up, kind of put it in there. You want to make sure you get it in the tip of your triangle so that way it stays a nice triangle. And you can stuff some more in like this. You don't want to stuff it too much because you don't want it to be hard to shut, so just enough. And then you can continue to sew now that it's stuffed, just like you were. You gotta be a little bit more careful because there's a little bit more of an opening. And you go all the way to the end and tie it off just like you'd been doing. So now that I am at the edge, I'm just gonna do where you close it off by going in and out and tucking in your needle to make a knot. And then I'm gonna cut off my extra thread. I realize these scissors that I chose are not the most sharp. Okay, almost there. Okay, and now I'm gonna cut off this fun little tail. Although he's very cute and kind of looks like he has arms. Okay. After you're done making your little pillow friends, you want to store your sharp needles and pins back in the orange fabric. Phoebe really wants to make sure that you do this so you're safe. And then you can put it back in your bag for safekeeping. Make sure you keep it away from pets and tiny siblings. Okay. There it is. There is your pillow. And now, if you decide to write big sentences on big pieces of paper, you can use this as your adjective. Phoebe's very excited about it for you. All right, friends, I hope that this was helpful, and if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to your classroom teacher or another adult that knows how to sew. Bye!